Good morning, everybody. We are live on a chilly Wednesday morning. If you're confused as to why you're seeing Leigh-Ann Mole, we have some changes to announce, but then these things happen from time to time. It's always exciting. The changes are that Gord Laws, the world's most disorganized person, has let Sia know that the best day he can do now, if he wants to make a return appearance on the show, and we've said, well, you know, people like him and blah, 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 is a Friday. So we went to the awfully accommodating Leigh-Ann Mole, and we knocked on her door, and she was in her dressing gown as usual. And we said to her, "Oi, Mole," and she said, "What do you want?"
Yes.
Said, "Do you mind terribly if we move you to Mondays and Wednesdays?" And she said, "As long as you don't put it on the 34th of August on a From's Day, I'm happy with it." And we said,
That's my day off.
That's your day off. So I thought, okay, well, you know what? That's not unreasonable. So what we've done is we've shifted Leigh-Ann Mole to Mondays and Wednesdays. We get Gord on a Friday, which means he'll have less excuses to not be there, which obviously is much better for all of us than anything else. And and we get to see Leigh-Ann basically in much quicker succession, which people love too, because when we don't have Leigh-Ann Mole on, we get just as many, if not more, complaints than we do when we have anybody else drop off the show. So
it'll be like bam, bam, nothing.
Oh, okay. That just took me back to the Oscar Pistorius trial.
Oh no!
Gosh.
What a horrible thing to think about, Sia. Is that what you think? Would people go bam, bam?
Well, remember how that was my introduction to working with you guys as opposed to just listening to you guys. And all I remember was my first couple of days was sitting outside the studio and you guys were analyzing that audio clip of just bang, bang.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the trial had started and then it was some woman who said that's what she overheard. Random note. Anyway, yes.
Jesus. I don't remember.
Right.
That.
Oh, yeah, and I do. It was a neighbor. She was describing the succession of bangs and then the break and then another bang.
Sorry to start the day on a macabre note.
Yeah, thanks. We just start with, usually on a Wednesday, we start with a little bit of murder, and then we proceed from that to other things which interest us. So if you have any better suggestions, please bring those on. Actually, we have quite a lot. I know we have quite a lot to get to today. Among other things, we've got Sean Williams who's going to join us. He's the founder of something called Live Life Always. We'll talk a bit about, we are not by any means eco-warriors or environmentalists on this show, but I think we care a lot about the world and we don't want the world to be worse when we leave it, right? So we'll talk to him because Sean is one of those people who is focused on making the world a better place. And he's doing this with eco bricks, and it's pretty amazing stuff because obviously it's a way to use waste and to use plastic and things like that makes use of the stuff rather than just fills landfills, which is the worst place for any of that to go into.
Yeah, it's very.
Well, it's how much human shit is buried under the earth. How much of it we've just left there, and future generations are going to be digging holes for some reason, and they're going to find all of our crap, and they're going to be like, "What is wrong with you people?"
It's very important to heal the world and make it a better place for you and for me and just the entire human race.
Right.
I don't know if you know this, but there are people dying.
There are.
If you care enough for the living. So make a
better place for you and for me, right?
Oh, took the words out of my mouth, Gareth.
I woke up with a stiff stomach this morning. I don't know what I was doing in the night, but it's when you've been laughing too much the day before.
What were you laughing at the day before?
I must have been cracking myself up during my sleep.
What? I mean, I wouldn't put that past you.
I certainly wasn't doing any sit-ups or anything yesterday.
Imagine,
I mean,
you're
I
like lying in
just,
bed and you're doing crunches all night long, and you don't even realize it. Fuck, that would be great, though.
I
Imagine.
mean, I remember my one dream was that it was a surprise birthday party that everyone had thrown for me. And we were
Mhm.
sitting in a formal lounge, a formal dining area where you would go for like a wedding.
Oh, yeah.
And it was this very boring classical elevator music playing with these big linen tablecloths. And I didn't know a soul, knew nobody.
Oh.
Maybe I thought that was funny.
And did you walk around like pretending to be busy on your phone? Because when I go to a
Oh,
party,
it's
and it
horrible.
hasn't happened for ages because I don't go to these things. Um, I must tell you about. I think I might have mentioned it, but there was an event I was meant to go to last week, and I used a. It was an important excuse to me, but I think other people are going to think I'm just bullshitting.
Okay.
But I hate going to these parties where you kind of have to make small talk and you have to be.
Mm.
I used to be pretty good at it. Like I was fairly adept at moving around a room and hi, how do you do? And yeah, what's been happening? And oh, great to see you again, and all that kind of shit. I know. See, you're still good at this. I've seen you operate a room.
There's
Mhm.
no such thing as small talk.
Well, I know you. No, but you take it seriously, which is what you've got to do, because it is
Yes.
kind of ridiculous, but it's also how people interact. And a lot of us have lost the skill over the course of the last year with Corona and everything else. I lost the skill years ago because I just don't have. I don't have the ability to have meaningless conversations with people. I'm not good at it anymore. I find it so draining and so exhausting to talk about the weather and like how's that that aunt of yours who I can't even remember her name, but I'm going to pretend I care, or tell me about business. Is business going okay? And
Of course.
even talking about Corona, like got no desire whatsoever. So I've lost the ability. But I was invited to a thing last week, and they changed the date once or whatever. And then apparently we had to fill in this form to make sure that we weren't, it was like a sworn statement that we didn't have coronavirus, that
Mm.
Oh,
we didn't feel ill, or it wasn't such a big deal. I went on and I filled it in. This is on Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday last week, right? So I go in, I fill it in, and then it comes back to me after I filled it. It's not that long. It's probably like a page of information, but it's not huge. And it comes back to me. It's like you have to, if you don't use this within 24 hours, then it expires. But I'm like, but the restaurant thing is on Thursday. Now I've gone to the trouble of filling this out because I was going to go and I'd RSVP'd that I was going. Anyway, it says to me now it's going to expire by Wednesday night. So I was pissed off. I have to fill it in again on Wednesday if I want to go to the thing.
Ah.
So I write this email back to the owner, who's a friend of mine, and I've known him for a long time. We actually started a business years ago together. So we're not we don't have there's no bad blood. We know each other well enough. We've had many good times and laughed a lot. He's started many successful businesses. So I write to him. I'm like, listen, dude, I know it doesn't matter to you. And I know you're just trying to do the right thing with Corona, and there are probably going to be some people coming to this opening that are going to be very important people, and some of them might be skittish about the virus, and they might worry about their health a lot more than I do. But on principle, I'm not going to do this dumb act where I have to fill in forms, I have to wear the mask when I walk in, but then I take it off, then I sit at the table, then I put it back on when I leave. It all just feels like a big pantomime, and I'm just not into it anymore. I'm not pretending. I mean, even Fauci said yesterday in an interview, which has gone all over the internet. Even Anthony Fauci said there's so much of this mask wearing that has been about political theater. Okay, which it is. I've said this
Hmm.
from the start, and that's not surprising. And it doesn't mean I'm an anti-masker or an anti-vaxxer or any of that shit, because there are these frightened people among us who just believe that any opinion to the contrary of like the science, which people like Anthony Fauci embody, you're somehow denying that there's a virus. I'm not saying that. Obviously, I believe there's a virus. Obviously, I think it's real. Obviously, I think it's killed people. So anyway, I wrote this thing to him. I'm like, I know it's dumb. You're going to think, what an asshole. I've invited this guy to my opening, and now he's coming up with this crap. But the reality is, I'm not jumping through all these dumb hoops when pretty much everything's open. pretty much everything's back to normal. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't care about curfew anymore. I haven't been out after 12, but if I did, I wouldn't give a shit. And I just said to him, it has had to happen at some point. I'm sorry it's happened with your opening. I'm not coming because I'm not putting up with this crap. I'm not going to dance this dance or act this act anymore. It feels stupid to me. And I just, out of principle, I'm not going to do it. So
So you're just not going?
I didn't go. It was on Thursday last week.
Oh,
And
I thought it was tomorrow.
he didn't reply. So, I mean, maybe he's pissed off with me. Maybe he just doesn't care. Maybe he had enough people there that he was busy and it was the last thing on his mind to reply to stupid old me. But the fact is, like, I just drew a line and I said, I'm not putting up with this anymore. I went to that birthday party on Saturday that I mentioned on Monday morning.
Mm.
I didn't put on my mask. I had it in my pocket. It was there. I didn't put it on once. I didn't put it on to go to the bathroom. I didn't put it on at the bar. I didn't put it on anywhere. I thought, you know what? I'm going to see if I can get away with not having to use this. So I did. And you know what? I didn't feel like an idiot because you feel a bit stupid when you put it on and then take it off, put it on, take it off. And you know it's not doing any good. So I've drawn, this is me. I don't care if you want to wear a mask, you're welcome to it. You can do whatever you like. I'm not going to get in anyone else's way. I'm not going to be passing the virus on to anyone. So I won't feel like I'm being irresponsible. And you go ahead and do your thing.
I don't think I would have declined going to an event because of it. But that's just you. That's just typically you. And yeah, you're making your own political statement by doing that, but that's absolutely fine. But yeah, I mean, I do get the whole mask thing, and I do see people walking around without them now. You know, those shopping centers that are kind of outside shopping centers.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we're all rubbing past each other as we walk past, there are people who aren't wearing them. So yeah, I get it. People are just kind of over it by now.
Just done, you know.
I did watch that. What was that? That movie that one of the TV channels got into trouble for putting on when COVID first started because it was creating panic, and it was a similar topic.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like one word: infectious or
contagion or something.
Contagion.
Like that.
Yes. Yeah. I did watch that the other day because I hadn't watched it and I didn't feel like watching it during COVID. And geez, that kind of scared the socks off of me. And I had a bit of a panic. I almost said to family who I was going to see on the weekend, I'm not coming because this movie did kind of scare me. But I got over that very quickly.
Well, I think a lot of people are just coming out of the coma of all this weirdness. I do want to talk about some other stuff, and Sia's got he's got a huge part to play in this. I see his battery on his laptop just died. Rookie error, he says. There he is. He's back. Ta-da!
So silly. I thought, hey, I was listening to your story. What happened there?
Suddenly you just weren't there anymore. So we've got a couple of things we've got to get to this morning. Try and keep me on track because you know we get distracted. Jane has got an insult. Jane's got an insult for Leigh-Ann this morning.
Oh yeah.
Basically,
Leigh-Ann,
Jane,
it's basically a welcome to Wednesday.
Yeah. No, I've heard these. I'm ready.
They're all mean. She's just a mean person, and she's got shit things to say about everyone, Jane. But we love her for it. I mean, I don't mind it because she's yesterday. Wow. So yesterday we found this thing in Sia's office, which is it's this I suppose you could call it a sculpture, a ceramic sculpture, and it's been painted beautifully of an elephant. And actually, Sia's got two of them in his office, and then there's a rhino as well. And they're miniatures of those big versions that were around the country, sold for like tens of thousands of rands. So these are probably worth some money. So I say to Jane, I know I'm causing trouble when I do this. So I go, Jane, if we sold those things, then everyone here could get a bonus of like 100 or 200 rand. Because we could sell them for like $2,000 each, and there maybe 10 of us, so it's 200 rand each. She goes, ha! So she immediately goes over and grabs the rhino. She's like, oh, this one's got a chip on its ear, but we could still easily sell it for 1,500. So I'm like, yeah, let's sell it.
And Sia wasn't there, obviously.
No. Sia
I-
he was there. He was there. He saw the whole thing.
Oh.
And you could just see the money in Jane's eyes, like the
Yes.
dollar sign started coming. She's like, "Oh, we can do this." So Greg goes on the website and he looks at what they might have been valued at, and Greg reads out this arbitrary number, which is like the amount of money they've raised for Project Rhino or something, and it's like 35 grand. But Jane immediately thinks that little thing is worth 35 grand, and you could just see she's like, "Woo!" She's in the big time.
She
This is
she
gonna
was
pay.
bouncing off the walls to look at this little thing that's barely bigger than an A4 sheet of paper, but possibly worth 35,000 rands. Whoa, she was in the money.
Oh, she's so excited. And she just like, we're going to sell this one, and we sell all of them, and then we'll make. Now she's added up in her head that this is like over 90,000 rand if we sell all of them. But it's not, because they each maybe worth 1,000 rand, right? Maybe, if we're really lucky. So someone says to her, why don't we sell that painting over there? And it's Khomolemo, who's just started with us recently. And she's like, "What? You shut up." She goes, "You shut up," because he wanted to take the painting for himself. Like, "You've been here since yesterday." She goes, "You have no right to. If anyone's going to sell anything, it's going to be me. I was here from the start," Jane says. So
And she's
it's
basically barking at everyone.
Oh yeah, no, she was attacking everyone in the office. So it was hilarious. And Simpiwe is just laughing, and then Jane turns around and looks at her. She's like, "What are you laughing at?" So she's very aggressive. Keeps the office on our toes, though. That's for sure.
So she has an insult for me today?
Yes. Do you want to hear it now? I mean, what is it now?
Yeah, just please get it over with.
Oh no, now you're in knots.
Yes.
You don't like these things, right? So you don't want it to drag on.
No, just get it over with. I'm breaking out in hives.
Let me see if I can do this. I'm going to figure out how to do this properly. I've just got to like save the thing first.
Oh, that's right. It's an actual recording. Sorry, I thought you had to just read it.
No,
what's wrong with you?
It's an actual theme tune.
A theme tune, sing theme tune, do the theme tune, do. So I'm going to play it off of here. Hang on.
What she doesn't want to admit is the fact that she's actually missed all of us and seeing us very often.
No, she hasn't.
I know I think Aus Jane has.
She doesn't believe that. Not at all. She's so not interested in all of our shit. Like, Jane doesn't care. Okay, here it is. I've got it. So,
okay,
Leigh-Ann, I don't know how much of this makes any sense, because Jane, she sort of talks in parables. She's almost like one of those soothsayers. Those people.
Parables.
Yeah, it's not really a language
Be a bit
any
cryptic.
of us understand. Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to try and make your own. You almost have to interpret it like those people who interpret the Bible or whatever. So here it is. This is Jane's insult of the week for Leigh-Ann.
Leigh-Ann, I have one question for you. I feel like you have so many dogs. Do you have a boyfriend? Do you think there's any person who can date you when you have...
Hang on a second. She says she has one question for you and then proceeds to ask about 7. So
yes.
Start that again on that basis, all right?
Leigh-Ann, I have one question for you. I feel like you have so many dogs. Do you have a boyfriend? Do you think there's any person who can date you when you have a dog seat on your front seat? Just imagine. And I want to ask you another question. What made you to go to Cliff Central before and come back?
Yeah.
You came back now, but still you don't have that vavavoom. You're still the same, Leigh-Ann. Please just have that vavavoom. Like, lift yourself to see that you are back. I know that you do have the energy. Maybe I need some power, like woman's power, girl. Are you sometimes drinking, or
You
you forget about what you have to say on the show? Girl, I need girl's power. Cheers.
Okay, I do not know.
Okay.
I don't even know if that's an insult. I'm not sure how to make sense of this. And if anybody, if you're listening to this, you can interpret that. You can make sense of what Jane's trying to say. I'd be thrilled.
No, I totally get to break down her one question, which is actually 3. My domestic worker often says to me, I mean, that's like the only person I really see besides my mom and brother. She often says to me, Leigh-Ann, you've got all these cats, but no boyfriend.
No.
It really bothers her. And
Yeah.
if I say something like, if she asks me for money for something, and I'll be like, Precious, I really can't. I'm like, I don't have extra money this month. She'll be like, but haven't you got a boyfriend who you can ask? So that's what she sees a boyfriend as, a source of money for when you need him. But
Revenue.
yeah.
And I love the new feminist Aus Jane out
Yes,
of nowhere. She's
she
now
definitely wants
girls
girl power.
women's power.
What do you make of all of this? I mean, I'm not even sure I understand Jane, let alone.
She's also concerned about the difference in my energy from before I left, you know, before the break I took from Cliff Central and now. But I think that she has to remember that I went through quite a lot during that time, and also, you know, with my family and my mom, etc. So there've been a lot of really hard knocks that I've taken, and I've had to really grow up because of it. So I'm finally acting a little bit more my age, a little bit.
Do you know what it's also comes down to with her is like she's got a real problem with people who leave and then come back. I mean, like even Sia went on a sabbatical.
Because she's like the OG, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, if people go off and do their thing, like I don't know how you feel about this in your workplace or even in your family, but if someone takes time out and they go on a sabbatical for a year, or they fall in love and they move somewhere, or they decide to try a different job.
I was going to ask, how do you take a sabbatical from your family? That I wasn't on board.
You know, people go overseas, they go and visit other countries, they go on like a backpacking tour, and I'm talking about the days before Corona, but you can't begrudge them that. She has got a big problem with anyone who leaves. Like for Jane, it's just there's an unspoken rule that you just never leave. I think, you know, maybe in her life, abandonment issues are a big deal, but she really doesn't like it when people go and then come back later. She has no.
Well, I mean,
she gives you the respect once, but if you screw that up, then it's overs.
I don't know, but I kind of feel the same way about people who leave South Africa and then come back. Don't you?
Really?
No, you've never liked them, but I don't have a problem. I think if you've decided we're going to try this out, it doesn't work, you're going to come back, that's fine by me. I don't judge them.
I think it depends on the conditions they left under and what things they had to say about the country. But
yeah, no, that's probably true.
I actually had to block a family friend of ours on Twitter because she has gone abroad and she's even changed her username to a Safa in. Well, if I say where, then you know her username, then you'll judge me for it. So a Safa in blank. But I'm like, just go and move and like leave us alone. She is now purposefully. I don't even know how she finds these other people online, but she finds these people who are lamenting about South Africa, who are trying to leave and who are making amends. And she will tweet them, yeah, that's the best decision I made for myself. Okay, well, leave.
Yeah, it's that whole justification.
As you've left, and leave us alone. Gosh.
I don't. You used to upset me. I used to be in exactly the position you two are about this, and I used to think, you know, these people. And we do have negative and positive people in the world. They're people who move for positive reasons. You know, some of my friends have left the country. In fact, a lot of my university friends have gone. And they've left for opportunities that were overseas, things that they really wanted to do. Maybe they wanted to raise their kids somewhere. In particular, maybe they fell in love with a place. That's great. And then there are people who move for negative reasons. They're like something terrible happens to them, or you know, or they're just sick of South Africa, or they find nothing nice to say about anything. That's fine too. I really don't judge anymore. It used to bother me. I used to be very anti. And then with those people, often they do come back, and then you're tempted to be like, told you so. You know, grass is always greener. But I'm not like that anymore. I really am not. You do your thing. And even if it means you come back and go and come back and go and come back and go 100 times, it's totally your business. I mean, it costs a fortune to move. So you're paying the price anyway. it's not. What must
Yeah.
I pile? I'm not going to pile on for that. All right. Remind me before we finish this hour. I've got to play an apology for Leigh-Ann. There's yeah, we have made fun of her about something that we really didn't know what we were talking about. She deserves an apology. So this is coming up in the next half hour or so. But we've got to get to headlines. So let's take a look at all the big stories that are going on in the world. And you can get hold of us on 079 748 2090. That's the WhatsApp line. You can also send us a message to screen if you want to do that on YouTube. We always check the comments on YouTube. Lots of those coming through too. You could just join on. But remember, since we're talking about YouTube, everybody needs to know this. It's very important. I get told every week by everybody at the studio, like and subscribe. That's right. It doesn't help that you just watch us live. You have to like and you have to subscribe, because if you don't do those things, it's a little bell. The little bell is to remind you of notifications, and the like is very important because YouTube has algorithms. And if you don't feed that algorithm, you might as well not be there. And if we don't get the numbers, then we're going to have to stop doing this because it becomes a waste of our time. I know that
because
we try to add visual stuff to the show, but it is a podcast. So if we have to make the call at some point about whether or not we're going to stick with video, it's going to depend on what feedback the algorithm gives us. Sorry.
because the man is always watching.
Yeah, the man. That's correct. Okay, so
The YouTube man.
Eskom, good news, I suppose. Good news in inverted commas. Eskom has reduced load shedding to stage 1 from stage 2. That's a good thing. So apparently it's expected to last until 10 p.m. Tuesday night, which was yesterday. Power utility says its generation capacity has improved. The outlook for the week is looking good, but it's currently experiencing high evening peaks. And then they put out a press statement, which nobody needs to read, because as soon as we see things are getting better, we're like, but for how long? Anyway, that's the latest news from Eskom. EWN reporting this morning that Outer is probing the possibility of reckless trading by the boards of various SAA subsidiaries. That's right. Outer, the Organization for Undoing Tax Abuse, have said that they are going to look into SAA subsidiaries like Mango, what's the other one called? SA, not Airlink, because that's a separate company.
SA Express.
Express, that's correct. SA Express. No. FlySaf is a separate company too. Anyway, they're going to look into these because they said there's a possibility of reckless trading by the executives and boards of these subsidiaries. It is with regards to their solvency and the lack of filing for liquidation or business rescue over the past year or more. Outer said it wanted the diversion of 2.7 billion rand, originally earmarked for the business rescue of SAA, not to be used to purchase equity in 3 of the subsidiaries. Dodgy trading, basically, going on. So they are going to ask whether the boards of Mango and SAA Technical contemplated their respective organizations' solvency and acted in the best interests of their companies while they were making losses prior to and during the lockdown. That's all going on, whether we are aware of it or not. So well done to Outer for paying attention, because most of the time, most of us can't be bothered. We don't know what's going on. The IEC have said that the portable registration devices for the elections will address voter fraud and will allow for enhanced voter registration and monitoring of voter participation in real time. Voter Management Device, or VMD, has the ability to capture an address during the registration and to verify the address against ward boundaries. Well, that's a good thing, right? Provided it is run by good people. Because all of the
Can this technology get delivered to people in time? Can the training happen in time? Can the tender for the training happen succinctly and above board, not 21 million rand costing the IEC for a 500,000 rand training job? Sorry, I'm cynical, but the world already has made me cynical, so I want to be cynical before the world.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. So they're going to have these VMDs, or voter management devices. And the Deputy Chief Electoral Officer, Masego Sheburi, said that the new device had access to a live voters roll linked to their central database. Now, I'm okay with this. If technology is used by people who mean well and in order to make things more efficient, and it can't be used to make up fake people to bring in voter fraud, then I'm all for it. Otherwise, let's stick to paper, right? I mean, it's worked so far. We've managed to do it, and less people every year have voted. So it's not as if we're overwhelming. We have overwhelming numbers of people that have never been to the polls before. So I'm a little suspicious, like Sia. I know.
Don't be suspicious. 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 Don't be suspicious.
Woo!
All right. So we've spoken about ALTA, we've spoken about the IEC,
Oh Lord.
ESCOM, but here's something from Australia.
Just before you go on to that, I have a friend who, if she worked at ALTA, she would say, if you said to her, "What do you do?" She'd say, "No, I work at ALTA."
ALTA. Yeah, because that's
exactly what she. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your friend from the old days in the South.
Yes, she is. Yeah.
Ah,
Okay.
look at how loyal you are.
She would say for the Eat Out magazine, she'd say "Eat Out."
Oh Lord.
Even the South. It's SAAT.
Yeah, the South.
The South. SAATH.
Spell it, Gareth. S-A?
SAATH.
Yeah,
The
South.
South.
The South.
And ATA is AAAAAATA.
Yeah.
Eat At magazine.
Eat Out.
At. How would you?
And I'd say to her, just try and say "eat out," and she'd go, "Eat out."
It's just over enunciating.
Oh, this is interesting. We were just talking about Australia and and the strange people who live in that country. Prime Minister Scott Morrison defended his Fortress Australia COVID-19 restrictions on Tuesday, as experts warned plans to keep the borders closed for another year will create a hermit nation. Listen to this. Everyone is keen to get back to a time they once knew, the Conservative leader said in the face of growing calls for international borders to reopen. Remember, Australia stayed closed basically for the entire time. And if you do go in or out, you have to have really good reasons. Then they quarantine you for like 2 weeks. And basically, tourism and travel shut down to Australia, right? So you have to go there because someone's died or you're moving permanently or whatever. But it's really hard to get in or out of Australia for the moment. Of course, they've had very few coronavirus cases, but when they do open their borders, which inevitably has to happen, it's going to be carnage. They know this. That's the difficulty of these very hard lockdowns. So the reality, he says, is we're living in a year in a pandemic that's worse than last year. Last March, Australia took the unprecedented step of closing its borders to foreign visitors and banning its globe-trotting citizens from leaving. So they've been locked down in the strictest possible way for a year. And of course, they've had very low coronavirus because when someone comes in, they put them into quarantine immediately. They identify it immediately.
And they don't have bordering countries. They're an island.
Yeah,
Good
correct.
point.
So you can only fly in or out. So they just check at the airport, and if there's anything going on, then they put you in a hotel for 2 weeks. Anyway, the problem is they have open borders with New Zealand, which is also an island, and only the two of them will allow travel between the two, and otherwise they're isolated. And it's bad enough that they're so far away. So apparently, listen to this: Australia is now one of the countries that has had the first population decline since World War I. Tens of thousands of Australian citizens. Yeah, listen to this. The country has almost no community transmission. Life for most is relatively normal. And Australia's Medical Association has said Australia cannot keep its international borders closed forever. At some point, it will not be possible to justify the maintenance of border closures, given their impact on lives and livelihoods. So it's going to affect their economy very badly, etc., etc. A University of Sydney task team has said that they cannot continue to lock themselves away. They are in danger of becoming a hermit nation. No one going in, no one going out, which is very bad news for Australia. So, all those people who said last year this time, oh, we've got to lock down, we've got to be stricter, can't let anyone in, can't let anyone out. Well, would you rather be in their position now where once you open up, it's going to go crazy, or you just stay closed out of fear. Horrible situation they've got themselves into. There is no
My
easy.
my feelings of Australia and New Zealand flip-flop between the days. I feel like New Zealand and Australia are like that annoying couple you have in your family who come in to a family function with their kids, and they're very specific about their kids. No. They don't eat gluten. No. They don't play in the sands. No. Our kids don't take their shoes off. Actually, no. Would you mind actually just separating the veggies just for them? Like, you go, oh, maybe that's actually good. But then you go, come on, you're so annoying with all of these rules. So I don't know how I feel about them. It changes.
It's so weird. I was thinking about it literally this morning in the shower. I don't know why. I thought about that article that was written by an expat group of South Africans in Australia, where they were talking about the highest rates of crime in South Africa and which cities they were in. Remember that?
Yeah.
And how skewed it was. And I thought, I wonder what Black people think of Australia and certain cities which are heavily populated by South Africans who left South Africa because very blatantly they didn't like Blacks or they didn't like crime.
Are you talking about Perth?
Yes. And I thought, I wonder what Black people think of a place like that. I mean,
Leigh-Ann, let's take advantage of the fact that there's a Black person here right now. His name is
Yes.
Sia Sangweni.
Look at that.
Glorious.
Hi, I'm Sia Sangweni, your caller Black.
So are you going to Perth anytime soon, Sia?
Let's think about that. No. And on behalf of all of the Blacks, no.
Yeah.
You Black, you have such a problem with Perth. So
we don't like it.
I mean, listen, again, I'm not going to guess anyone's motives, but I do think there are people who did leave for those reasons. And that's their business. I mean, you got to live with that, right? There's going to be someone in Perth who irritate. If you're irritated by Black people in South Africa, there's going to be a whole bunch of people in Perth who irritate you just as much. And you're going to have to deal with that. Some people are just impossible to live with. Now, Sia mentions those couples who come into your house and then they're very particular and choosy and picky and irritating about their children. Well, one of the people I invited on Friday, she says to me, because we obviously allowed, some of them are moms, some of them are dads, they brought their kids with. And the mom and dad ones left early because they had to get their kids to bed and blah, blah, blah. So they didn't stay for a raucous party afterwards. But one of the moms says to me, "Have you got sparkling mineral water?" So I said, "No. I mean, there's soda water in a can, I suppose, if you're making a drink. Why would couldn't you find it on the tray outside?" So she's like, "No, I need sparkling mineral water." So I said, "Why?" She's like, "Oh, my son. The son is 8 years old. He only drinks sparkling mineral water."
Bye.
No, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Some kids do.
Well, I said, tough titties. Don't have any of that. Water or you can fuck off.
But if that's what her son drinks, she should have brought it herself.
I think she might have because she found some. So I think she might have brought some. Well, but anyway, I just thought, really? You're an 8-year-old and you need sparkling mineral water? What are you, the Dalai Lama?
Yeah, what a presumptuous 8-year-old.
What are you? Are you a reincarnation of the the spirit of I don't know, Napoleon, that you think you're so important?
Wouldn't have done well in the caveman days.
No, I mean, 8 years old, that kid would have been left out in the wild, and the tribe would have moved on.
I'm just going to confidently say it now. That kid is going to have a tough time at school. Is it a guy?
It's a guy.
He's going to start playing rugby in the middle of a rugby match. The coach will be like, "Boys, take a knee. Here's orange slices for you guys." And he goes, Coach, sorry. I'm actually parched.
Mineral water.
needs some mineral water. Oh, he's gonna have a tough time.
I have a distinct feeling this child's not going to be playing rugby, and I'm making no aspersion. I'm casting no aspersions on his character, but I don't believe that the mother's ever going to let him play rugby. Anyway, so I said we had to apologize to Leigh-Ann.
Yes.
On Friday 2 weeks ago, we had George Meany on, as we always do on a Friday, and George was talking about cars and how difficult it is for some people to parallel park, and Leigh-Ann started talking about how she's seen this video of like these really, really amazing cars where the wheels go sideways and they just turn into a parking, right? And we were all like,
Yeah, you guys were ripping me off because you said you didn't understand what I meant when I said the wheels turn. You went, oh, like wheels.
No, we mocked you relentlessly.
Like wheels turn, you know? And I was like, no, they spin on their axis. Oh, like wheels do. I'm like, no, they change direction. Oh, like wheels do.
Yeah, look, your explanation was not very good. You were struggling with language that morning. I don't know.
Perhaps that was the problem, actually. We were the problem.
We owe you an apology because we found a video of what Leigh-Ann means. And here it is for your viewing pleasure, and it will allow Leigh-Ann to finally be given her due for trying to explain something as hard as it was for her to explain on the show. This is what she meant. And these are actually quite cool. These don't look like that piece of shit car that we put on the screen when she was talking about it, which looked like something out of Russia. It looked like some horrible, like Russian skadonk that someone had, in their home mechanic's garage. They'd realigned the wheels or whatever. But this is what Leigh-Ann meant. Okay, here it is. Beautiful car. It looks like an Aston Martin or something.
There we go.
Uses the cars. The wheels to actually just turn, and then this one is even cooler. It's like a Jeep.
That's amazing.
And its spare wheel goes down, and it uses that to turn into the parking. And then there's even one whole thing comes out of the middle of the bottom of the car, and it just uses that to park. Very cool. So I see what you mean. So Leigh-Ann, on behalf of me and Sia and George and everyone else who was mocking you that morning, we're sorry.
You were right.
It was mainly you, but okay, I accept. Thank you. I feel fantastic now. The weight off my shoulders.
I don't mean to be the third best innovator in the world by asking this question, but wait. What if we just didn't have parallel parking anymore?
Well, Sia,
so what about all of the ancient towns in the world and in Europe? With these tiny little streets, what are you going to do? Park at the bottom?
Park to the normal drive into a parking space.
Ain't going to work.
Okay, never mind. I'm the 200th greatest innovator now, then.
Yeah, I wish we'd had you around when urban planning started in like 800 BC.
I would have been fabulous with that. I really would have. There's certain things that just don't make sense in this day and age, but I would have curbed that.
A couple of things that we've got to remind you of today. We've got our live show this evening on ENCA. We've never done the show live, and tonight we're going to be doing it live for the first time. So anything could happen. It could go horribly wrong. We could break some laws. We could do anything. So watch the show at 8:30 tonight. I got a very nice email from Donna who said she's going to be watching live tonight. She's going to make her whole family watch as well. So you never know what could happen. You never know. Poor Sia is already in an absolute state about the show because he's, despite doing a live show every single day for the last however many years, he's nervous as hell about the live TV show tonight.
Okay.
I've had so many anxious thoughts, even just yesterday thinking about it. I was like, how live is live? What they haven't taken us through is it really live? Is there like a 4 or 5 second delay? If something happens live on set where we have to cut, like, what happens? Do we go to a blank screen? I was like, Sia, you should nap in the afternoon. And then I go, I can't nap. I won't be able to nap today before. So anyways, just taking into the ramblings of my totally rational, insane mind right now.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
this according to Ruth. Did you guys see the story where the mom gave the kid a non-alcoholic Savannah Dry as a juice for school? Apparently,
I don't know if that's real. I saw the photo. I don't think that's real.
I don't know, but don't these non-alcoholic beers and things have like 0.something% of alcohol? There's still a tiny bit in there.
I mean, there's a tiny bit of alcohol in a lot of things that we think are non-alcoholic. I mean, even like fruit juices and things. You know, there's a certain amount of the fruit juice that may have fermented. So
many desserts and things like that.
So I mean, you can't. There's no such thing as 0.000, unless you're drinking distilled water. Or
that reminds me of my very staunch and vanilla uncle who does everything by the book and is such a great Christian man. I remember once we went out for dinner all together, and after dinner he ordered an Irish coffee. Now he never drinks, and after one Irish coffee he's like, oh no, my head is spinning. What is in this coffee? I'm like, calm down, dude. You are not drunk.
Hey, listen, alcohol really affects some people, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, please.
No, I promise you.
Just because you and Leigh-Ann are hardened old drinkers doesn't mean everybody is.
I made a Christmas, last Christmas, I made a pudding and it had a lot of masala wine in it. And my aunt got severely ill because she doesn't drink at all. And she was like, oh, my head. And it's true.
Talking about that, I saw a guy on the news yesterday. I actually posted something on Instagram. Some dude who looks like Doc.
I saw that.
He's got like a little beard here and he's got this wild white hair. I mean, he seems like quite a cool guy. But then he's from some organization that lobbies government about alcohol. You know, he's trying to get everyone to drink less. I'm always amazed at people like that. I'm always amazed that there are people in this world who make it their business to get into other people's business. Like he wakes up in the morning and he goes, right, today I'm going to fight alcohol. He doesn't go, I've got a mandate. Like I've got a community of people I'm serving. I hold here in my hand these papers which give me the right to represent thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. He doesn't have any mandate from anyone. I
haven't had a mandate since COVID came along and we had to stop using Tinder.
This guy wakes up and he appoints himself the guy who's I'm going to save South Africa from the excesses of alcohol and all the dangers associated with it. And he actually goes through his day believing he has authority to speak on behalf of people who would never have appointed him. And then he gets on TV and he's like, well, we're not arguing for a ban on alcohol because, of course, people are talking again about the third wave and they're going to ban alcohol. This guy's like, well, we think it's a bad idea if they advertise because people are so stupid that this is what he's basically saying. People are so stupid that advertising is immediately the thing they respond to and they have no ability to say no. When they see an ad for, I've seen millions of ads for cigarettes in my life long before they banned them, but it never made me want to smoke. But according to this guy, I'm so dumb, I immediately fall for advertising. Oh, washing powder ad. I definitely need to buy washing powder right now. Oh, fuck. I've got to pull over to the side of the road and start huffing into a plastic bag. I forgot to buy the washing powder that I just saw in that ad. What am I going to do? That's how this guy thinks we are. And he's trying to get, it's so weird how people like that think. First of all, that they imagine that they've been appointed by God or whoever to make rules on our behalf or to argue things with politicians on our behalf. But then he also thinks he needs to stop, among other things, competitions where the prize is alcohol. Like if I had a competition where I was giving away a fine bottle of French champagne, according to this guy, that's going to just turn a whole bunch of people into alcohol.
Or like beer for a year.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised, because it's usually the case that someone who thinks like that has been an alcoholic or an addict of some kind themselves. And then they
or experience,
or has had a bad experience of it,
and then they immediately project that onto the rest of us, and they're like, no, actually I've got a perfectly healthy relationship with alcohol and with excess of any kind in my life. I think I can manage. I'm not like you. In other words, don't bring your shit to my door. But according to him, if this guy was in charge of health in South Africa, we would pretty much all be in prohibition. And I listened to him during the news yesterday again and couldn't believe that there are people who are that full of themselves that they really think they can tell the rest of us what is right, and we all have to just conform with their crap. It's just annoying.
Yeah, it's like banning. What are we going to ban? Ads for chocolates and anything containing sugar.
Well, that's the ultimate. They've already tried that with the sugar tax and everything, right? So what they're eventually going to do is some really smart person who's cleverer than you, Anthony Fauci or someone like that, is going to be appointed to make all your decisions for you. So you'll wake up in the morning and Dr. Fauci will have prescribed your breakfast. Dr. Fauci would have told you what you should do for lunch. He'll tell you how much exercise you should do. He'll tell you what TV programs you should watch, what words you should use to describe other things around you. This is the kind of paradise that some people think they can make for the rest of us. And I would just like to make it very clear to those people, I don't want your shit paradise. Thank you very much. I would rather get fat and drunk and high the time of my fucking life every day than ever live in a world where a government gets to decide for me what is right and wrong. For goodness sake, who do you think you are?
Haven't they successfully done that in this country with regards to cigarettes? Like there's no, I think you can't advertise cigarettes in South Africa anymore. Yeah, so that's what they're aiming for with everything now.
That's been the case since the 90s. And who was the person behind the cigarette advertising ban? Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, who also wakes up in the morning and goes, I know what's good for everyone else. I mean, despite the fact that she's not in like supermodel shape, right? But she's going to tell us how to be healthy. She's going to tell us not to smoke and not to drink. And please. And
supermodel shape isn't healthy, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, you know what I mean. Let me tell you something else. If you aren't happy to live in South Africa, because I've said this a million times, our government is so incompetent that even if they have all of these people telling them, oh, we've got to ban this, ban that, we've got to tell people what to do here, there, and everywhere, we're dealing with complete incompetence. So the good news is they might have all these terrible ideas, these socialist ideas, these authoritarian ideas that are going to tell Sia what to do every day. But the reality,
there's such bigger problems to solve. I mean, they're picking low-hanging fruit.
The reality is they can't do any of that. They're just useless. They can't get anything right. So don't worry. I mean, the ANC can't even manage its own finances at the moment. They're completely bankrupt. There is no money in the till. I saw a thing on the news while we're talking about that, about Bloemfontein, the Mangaung municipality. Apparently, it is so fucked up that they've sent in a task team, like a rescue team. Apparently, Bloem, they haven't had water for part of the year. They've got roads with potholes so big that the road is mostly pothole. It's just a disaster. So I love living in a country where the government can't do their job, because it means they can't really tell us what to do. They can try, but we can mostly ignore them. Hooray. That's good news. So if you believe in freedom, this is a great place to live.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah. I remember that
when we come back.
Yeah.
When we come back, I'll be donning a scarf. I'm so cold right now.
I just want to quickly read out this from Vishal, who says, I remember that guy from the news yesterday. Yes, you're right. He looked like someone that had his own agenda regarding alcohol. Well, I don't know what his background is, but a lot of people who get super passionate about alcohol or drugs or cigarettes are people who've had their own bad experience. They've maybe been an addict, or they've had an addict in the family, and they're really motivated to tell the rest of us what to do. So I'd prefer those people not to have a say, because frankly, they're not objective. They've got an active grind. So please just stop forming these little lobbies and these advisory groups and these groups that are going to help policy in government. Just don't. Just stop it. No one wants to have your opinion. Thank you very much. Stay the hell out of our lives. Okay, when we come back, a couple of things. Leigh-Ann's going to have a scarf.
Yes.
Sia is going to tell us about the thing that drives him mad, the thing that he absolutely cannot handle anymore. We're going to talk to an interesting dude who's building all kinds of things out of eco bricks, and plenty more. So there's lots to talk about this morning. CliffCentral.com on a Wednesday with Leigh-Ann Mole, Sia Sangweni, Gareth Cliff, and most especially you. Stick around.
This week on Auto Central. In recent months, we've had the opportunity to sit with a couple of OEMs, Wendy, to understand how they are navigating this ever-changing future automotive market in South Africa. And today we continue that trend where Wendy and I sit with Greg, the Managing Director of Volvo Cars South Africa, and who has the challenging job of ensuring that Volvo continues to remain one of South Africa's most recognizable brands in the country, and how it is to run one of the top manufacturers.
The world's apex predators have fearsome reputations, so it's hard to believe that some of them are facing a fight for survival.
In Gansbaai and Valsbaai, white sharks are almost completely disappeared.
Blind Conservation is the story of these endangered predators. In our first episodes, we speak to global experts about the alarming plight of the great white shark.
Each shark that lives out there, one day out of 4 days, it can be killed.
And what you can do to help one of nature's most magnificent creatures survive for future generations. Join me, Spike Ballantyne, and my co-host, Anthony Mederer, for Blind Conservation, available on cliffcentral.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Site, cliffcentral.com. It is a Wednesday morning. We are here, we are live, and we're keeping you company as you start your wintry day and get on with it. Get things done. It's going to be a long day for Sia and I. We have a TV show tonight, and in between all kinds of stuff to do as well. So we're not going anywhere for a long time. Ah, there she is, Leigh-Ann Mole. You woman now.
Yeah, you see, I didn't dry my hair after I got out the shower, and that's the problem.
Okay, Sia, you have. Where's your bathrobe? Sia actually did the show in the bathrobe a couple of days ago.
No, I do have a bit of a blankie underneath. Yeah,
I would love to see. Okay, you got a blankie. I would love to get Sia for his birthday a bathrobe made of like velvet or something, and then with a fur collar. Don't you think that would be cool?
The shishi poopness of it all.
I can find one. I can find one of those. I promise you, I'm buying it for you. All right. So speaking of Sia, he's Sia's a very delicate chap. A lot of things really upset him. But one thing you know for sure is that Sia he's fairly in love with Oprah Winfrey. I think it's fair to say that he's slightly obsessed with Oprah Winfrey. He thinks Oprah Winfrey's his mother. So what would it take for Sia to be annoyed by Oprah Winfrey? What would make Sia so put off by her, even by Oprah, by anyone else obviously as well, that for a while he would have to mute her on social media just for a week, but he had to do it.
What?
Yeah.
It's real.
Think about that. I bet you got no answers for it. What would Oprah have to do?
Actually, it was a month.
Oh, a whole month.
Ooh.
Muted Oprah for a whole month now. I mean, everybody's
When was
going,
this?
It was either a year or two ago. Yeah, I think it was 2019, because do we even count 2020? Yeah, it was the beginning of 2019.
So why is this coming out now?
A whole month.
Because we discussed it with Gareth yesterday, and it actually came up as something that irks us both. And I think a lot of people feel the same way about this. It is something I just cannot stand, even though I love Wendy Williams as well. You know, I watch her talk show often.
Oh,
I couldn't.
stand her.
She's too much. She's over the top. I love her. But, you know,
and I'm going to say that Leigh-Ann is probably also going to be annoyed by this. It's the kind of thing
I think so.
Go crazy as well. So, all right,
let's get so.
So, what brought this up? Yeah, go ahead, Sia. No.
So just finishing the Wendy Williams point, I also couldn't watch Wendy Williams while she was broadcasting from home, because she was like broadcasting from her kitchen. And this is the thing, she was eating while doing the show.
Oh, no.
And so it got down to, yes, Leigh-Ann, yes.
A mouth smack.
It's the chewing. Oh.
Okay. All right, so what brought this up yesterday, as I said to Sia, you have to see this video of the mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, who's annoying enough. He's the most unpopular mayor in New York history. And this is going to make him even more unpopular. First of all, just put aside the fact that he's such an idiot that he believes that by offering people a free burger, they're going to get vaccinated. First of all, this is how dumb he thinks the people of his own city are. He reckons if I just bribe them with burgers and fries, they'll do whatever I say, even if it's, just get this injection, guys, just whatever it is. Let's imagine it wasn't the vaccine. Let's imagine it was a hideous experiment that Bill de Blasio was in charge of. And he decided that he needed to give everybody some kind of a virus that would turn them into zombies. This is obviously not what he's doing, but he reckons it would be easy to get people to do it. He just offered them a free burger. Look at this fucking moron. Just take a look at this guy and be grateful wherever you live. If you don't live in New York, this is not your mayor.
Free fries when you get vaccinated? I got vaccinated. You're saying I could get this? These delicious fries? Wait a minute. But there's also a burger element to this? Let me check with Bill Neathart. Is it too early in the day to eat a burger? No. This can be breakfast? Okay. I want you to look at this and think about, again, some people love hamburgers, some don't. Really want to respect all ways of life. But if this is appealing to you, just think of this when you think of vaccination. Vaccination. I'm getting a very good feeling about vaccination right this moment.
Right? I mean, who eats and talks to people at the same time?
Oh, no. And you know what? With him, it's the breathing as well.
He makes those old man noises. And you see what I mean about like how patronizing he is? He's like, vaccination. How dumb. What is he talking to?
It's like trying to feed a toddler where you go,
sweetie, if you have this sweetie, then I'll take you to school this morning and you won't have to worry about anything. Just go have this sweetie, then school will be fine. It's ridiculous.
That whole
really,
scenario
really
is
horrible.
so crazy. It seems almost too crazy to be real.
You know
It's
what
real.
it's like as well? It's like those adverts where from the 40s where doctors were smoking. If people are gonna look back on this and say, were you really bribing people with fast food and trans fats?
That's exactly right. And he's going to, but he won't be embarrassed now because he's just too stupid. How a person like that can become mayor of a great city like New York is just beyond me. Anyway, here is Wendy Williams, which Sia spoke about. She's doing this. I know this is probably uncomfortable for a lot of people, but you've got to watch this. You've got to listen.
Tell me about it. That's why eggs are the perfect food. You can do so many different things with eggs. I love you. Anyway, she's always been a bit of a weird bird to me. So.
Bad.
No.
She's got a lot of saliva noises, a lot of cheek and lip smacking going on with Wendy Williams. She obviously
No, just no.
Unacceptable. All right, last one is Sia's hero, Oprah Winfrey. Now, this is why Sia had to mute her for a whole month on social media. You want to know how to irritate Sia? Walk into his office and eat while you're talking to him.
She did this whole challenge of like, oh, it's a plant-based. She was promoting plant-based food every day of the month. And about a couple of days in, I thought, I'm not going to survive this. Sorry, goodbye. You're off my timeline.
For you, Sia. I mean, literally your hero is letting you down. It's very unfortunate, very unprofessional of her.
Here it is. Sweet potato. Curry, rice. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling really good. How about this? Very good. One meal a day. Very good.
Come on now!
What? Why are people going?
Yes.
There's no need to make that noise.
You don't.
There's a condition. You know what it's called. See, it's like a phobia that people actually suffer.
Misophonia.
My brother's got it. My brother's got it.
Yeah,
misophonia or misophonia. Yeah. It's the sound of anything to do with food and the mouth and chewing. And it's also, for me, it's also about just talking with anything in your mouth. I don't want to talk. I don't want to hear you speak to me with anything in your mouth.
I always, whenever we have our weekly family pizzas, I always ask to put on music because of all the chewing noises. Yeah, see, I totally agree with you on that one. Hey,
Damon used to do this, and it would drive Leigh-Ann crazy because he would always, the whole way through the show, he'd be eating something. He'd have chips in there, and because he has such bad like nasal passages and everything else. Everything's a disaster with him. He would eat, and while he was eating, he would also be breathing through his nose or through his mouth. And I mean, that's obviously the only two places you can breathe from, even though we learned on Monday you can breathe through your asshole, which I believe is
good.
The reality is he would make all those lip smacking noises, and it was just horrible to, like, if you got a microphone in front of you, it picks up every sound, right? I mean, I've got to be careful when I use the P sound, because with the microphone, it pops on the microphone, right? It makes a noise.
Even when we drink our tea and water, I'm worried about the throat noises.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm trying really hard to figure out why people do this on television or on radio, but it's something some people just clearly can't help themselves.
It's also so frustrating to deal with someone who's eating while talking to you, and then they have to take a pause between, like,
they leave you hanging.
I was saying,
it's rude because they're making you listen to them by going, and then holding your attention.
No. Andre says, this is Andre, who we've been giving a hard time to on the show, but he says eating and talking at the same time creates flatulence because people swallow air as they try to simultaneously breathe. He's not wrong. That is true. Monica wants to talk about the way that Leigh-Ann says pizza.
No, she's saying in this earlier, she said in the South, you say pizzas.
Pizzas. Okay, sorry. Because what does Michael Flax call them? Potza.
Elon Musk and He pronounces alarm as something else. An elam. Is it an elam? I think. It's an alarm, but okay.
Mark
an
says,
alarm.
Mark
Okay.
says that the US is looking more and more like a dystopian future in the movie WALL-E. WALL-E, that's that movie with the robot. Yeah, because Americans, like, eating is their whole thing. And they don't mind doing it on TV either.
Yeah.
A
So
burger is going to
bizarre.
change your mind, says Linda. Exactly. This is the case. There are actually people who will change their mind just because Bill de Blasio is offering them a burger. And Sharon says the word masticate, even the word sounds terrible.
You know what else drives me nuts? Sometimes certain pasta dishes, in fact, a lot of them, but usually if it's a short pasta that has a lot of air in it, so maybe a fusilli or something like that, if you stir those up with the sauce, that noise, it sounds like people making out.
Oh,
I always
I
get
know what you're
embarrassed.
talking about.
Yes.
Oh boy.
I get it.
Can we talk about the world of beer for a second? Do you remember when that was a thing?
Yes, totally. I remember it in particular because when I was at university studying marketing, World of Beer had just started and they were looking for marketing students to enter and actually pitch for their marketing plan and program and strategy. So we entered, and our little group, there were 3 of us, we ended up coming second. We almost won the whole strategy to market the World of Beer. And I don't know if you've been before. It's in Newtown.
No.
No.
Very interesting place. But what's happened now is that it's actually for sale.
Really?
Obviously, COVID has taken a huge knock. It has taken a huge knock from COVID. And you could actually own the World of Beer for under 30 million rand, which is
that's quite a steal.
I was just looking at this pile of 30 million rand that I've got sitting here in this room. And I was thinking, well, what can I spend that on? And I'm so glad that you brought up World of Beer, because that's what I've always wanted. You know, I'm a huge beer guzzler. I mean, it's just clearly my thing.
But listen, it's quite a cool place to, if you do have that amount of money, it's quite a cool place to own and just use it in your private capacity. So the building was built and is managed by South African Breweries. It was opened by Mandela in 1995, and that was when there was a huge wave of optimism, and especially for, gentrification of the city, and Newtown was all the thing. But it closed doors in September 2019, so even before COVID, and it's been lying dormant for almost 2 years. So now it is being leased, or rather, it's being leased for 32 years to the highest bidder, for anything from 27 million rand upwards. It's quite sad, though. I mean, I really felt like I was part of the whole vibe and trying, to get it going. So, yeah.
I don't know, Leigh-Ann. I'm not really persuaded to go and buy a piece of.
No, I don't think you would be the type.
That's not really my thing. So I'm okay. Is it all right if I skip this one?
You can skip it.
Thanks.
I think what I remembered the most was it looks at how beer started in the country with Umqombothi, and how Charles Glass came along, and he was, one of the country's first master brewers.
A real person? Oh. Charles Glass?
Correct.
You sound surprised by that, Gareth.
There was a song. I didn't know he was a real guy. I thought he was
sounds made up.
When we drink Castle, we fill with
admiration
for Charles Glass, who's brewing
class
across the nation.
Cheers, Charles.
That's right, hey? That was an actual song. You don't know that, right, Sia?
No.
No.
So not my generation or my crowd. Let me put it like that.
Those are in the days when you had a choice between a Castle and a Black Label, and that was it. We didn't have international beers yet or anything like that.
When
Well,
we
good
drink,
innings. Good innings
Well,
to the world of beer, though. It's as old as me.
for
That's
Charles
true.
Ross, who's brewing us one fame across
Class.
the... Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. I thought it was bring us.
So
Sorry,
if you're
I'm-
interested, the auction will be held at the Yananda Club in Johannesburg on the 27th of May in a few days' time, and starts at 2
Well,
o'clock.
that tells you something. The fact that they're not having it at the World of Beer means it's a disastrous mess. Can you imagine what
Yeah,
it's
shame.
and cleaned it in years? It's just looking very dilapidated.
Yeah.
I think I actually should go to these auctions one of these days.
What do you might meet your husband this, yeah?
That's what I'm thinking. You do not go
Yes.
to an auction to bid on something for 100 Rand. You're going to bid on, a couple of million.
Yeah, if you wear your velvet gown with a fur collar, you'll definitely fit in.
Yes.
That's a good idea. Good, Sia. Go on. I mean, you can't possibly go wrong. You'll meet such rich people. That's exactly the place to find a husband.
Damn it, my gloves are still at the dry cleaner. I need to fetch those to complete the ensemble.
But you know what's going to happen, though, right? You're going to meet someone there who's also a beer-guzzling fatty with a big boop. That's what's going to happen.
Ooh, Gareth, for a couple of million, that can be my definition of a Men's Health magazine model.
All right, well, then that's your business.
Party people, this is what I'd like to say. In 20 years' time, when my vision actually, comes to fruition, please do not verbally judge me.
No, Sia, we already know how superficial you are, and we accept you for. We don't mind.
Yeah, when we are broadcasting live from my wedding, just before I walk down the aisle, to Herbert the Hermit, do not say Herbert and I do not love each other.
I'm not going to say a thing. I'll be only too happy to have you off my hands.
Because actually, his one tooth is very endearing to me.
He's going to be snaggle-toothed, and he's going to be fat, and he's going to have one hair that he combs into a very complicated fringe.
Yeah, you'll be able to say, Herbert, I love your hair. It's such a nice one.
Herbert, darling, what do you feel like doing to your hair this summer? Should we make it into a coif?
Here's my fantasy for you, Sia. Is like you married some rich dude, and maybe he's not hideously old or hideously ugly or any of that stuff. Let's say he just makes you really happy, but he's got lots and lots of money. And what you do is, like, as you enter your 40s, Sia, because that's probably the age that you'll get married at. And you move into this huge big house that's got, like, I don't know, 100 bedrooms or whatever. And your husband is just this extremely rich man who doesn't care how much you use and where you use it and how much money you have. And I can see you saying to Leigh-Ann, hey, Leigh-Ann, why don't you move into the West Wing, and I'll have the East and North and South Wing. And then
I'm there.
You can bring
I'll
Leigh-Ann
pack my bags.
No, I can see it happening. Then all of you will be.
If I could be in the granny cottage with my cats at the bottom end of the garden, I would so be there.
Deal.
Today we're going to do something really stupid for the one thing for the week. We've done a couple of stupid things for one thing for the week, and this week we're going to do something bizarre. Today I want you to try and stalk an animal. So either it's better if it's not a pet, because your pets are not as alert as wild animals, and some people don't have pets. But I want you to try and, for example, get as close as you can to an Indian miner. Those things are like, they have incredible abilities to get away, and they hear
very sharp.
They're so clever. Like, even if you pull out a pellet gun and you try to shoot one, it's impossible. They are so quick, and they can hear and see everything.
Yeah, and we're not talking about the pigeons that'll eat crumbs at your feet while you're having a croissant in the garden.
Those things are stupid. But what I want you to try and do you know, humans, we don't really have much of the natural ability that we used to have to blend in with nature, to be able to stalk other animals. Most of us, if we were left out in the wild, wouldn't know what to do. We wouldn't know how to do things. We'd be screwed. So you're going to use this week to sharpen up your abilities to stalk other creatures.
What was that?
Where was that?
That was
Was
the
that Ruta?
loudest horn, yes, from a car.
In your complex.
In our
You hooked it up,
complex.
my
Who is so angry this early in the morning?
What I want you to do is spend this week scanning this creature's behavior, getting as close to it as you can, checking for its footprints, tracking it.
Oh, you know what a good one is a lizard or a gecko. If
Yes.
you move even slightly, those things are gone.
You have to try. If you manage to capture it or to frighten it, then you've scored maximum points.
It's going to be the opposite of what I do almost every day. I have to look out when I'm in the garden for any of my cats who are crouched down with their ears back and wiggling their tails, getting ready to jump.
Yes.
Because I know that they're stalking some poor little bird in the bushes. So I end up going, wah, and flapping my arms to give the birds a fright.
Oh,
and save
no.
them.
I remember as a kid actually thinking that my dog, Sheba, could speak. And she just has not wanted to speak in front of the rest of the family. So I stalked her for a good afternoon. I'm like, she was going into the garden, like right in the thick of all of the trees. I was like, Sheba, I know you can speak. I know you can say something. We're alone now. Just say it, say something. And she was just going into the garden to have a poo. So that's all I saw at the end of it.
My mom and aunt told me.
True story.
My mom and aunt told me that you know the knot of a tree in a tree trunk, where there used to be a branch or whatever, that if you knock on that, eventually a squirrel will come out. And I remember they lived in Kensington in Johannesburg at the time when my aunt did, and I was outside of the property on the roadside, sitting on the grass, knocking for hours on this tree with a knot in it. And I've just realized now they probably were just literally trying to get me to play in the traffic.
They must have loved the fact that they'd persuaded you and they'd convinced you that there was something behind that.
They were probably watching me through the window, laughing. I'm so embarrassed now.
Making fun of you.
You're so preoccupied for a good hour just knocking on a tree trunk.
Yeah. Well, Eleutheria agrees with you, Leigh-Ann. Try and catch a lizard. Means that stealth is the word that you're looking for. Stealth. Jade says humans are creatures too, but that doesn't count. And not surprisingly, Andre says he's regularly having conversations with a crow that has befriended him. It follows him his entire run through the nature reserve. Okay. I'm not going to say anything about that. No.
Andre, what is your limit today?
Just before we get to Sean, I just want to quickly ask Leigh-Ann about this because you know the story. You know that dude, Leo Prinsloo, who was driving that cash in transit, or he was driving that car, the Bucky that got away, had a bunch of cell phones in the back. There was this group of people who tried to hijack him, and we all saw the footage, right? I think we even showed it on the show.
Yeah.
So apparently he's been interviewed, and he's given a tell-all account of what actually happened. And you know about this, right? So you can give us some detail.
Yeah. So he's actually written this entire piece. Well, I don't know if he wrote it, but it's been written on his behalf, perhaps. But it's written in the first person. And it explains the whole thing and what was going through his mind. It's such an interesting article to read. I obviously can't go through it all. But if you maybe search Leo Prinsloo, InsideHook.com. InsideHook.com is where the article is. And he goes into such detail about what was going through his mind during the whole thing. It's really incredible. For instance, he says here, he even explains the rifles that he had in the car, what they do, how he was thinking of which rifle to use to get his co-guard to start, getting it going. He explains what happened to his body while that kind of adrenaline was pumping. It's just, really, like he says here, the body alarm reaction is a fascinating thing. What happens to your body when that kind of adrenaline starts pumping? That reaction will always be there. But with experience in high-pressure situations, you learn to manage it better. From the first crack of the rifle, time slowed down, and I had complete focus in the moment. The chase felt like 10 minutes to me, when in actuality, it was 2.5 hours. Really cool.
Whoa.
Sorry, 2.5 minutes.
Long.
2.5 minutes.
Oh, Leigh-Ann. I thought, wait, why did they say that? That is a long time.
Oh, my word.
Oh.
So, InsideHook.com has this exclusive story, as far as I know.
I'm
where
sure
it
even he watching that footage was surprised at what he saw, because when you're in that high adrenaline kind of vibe, and you're just trying to survive, and you're trying to make the right decisions, and you're running on just pure adrenaline, I'm sure that you don't really know what's going on. You're not self-aware. You're aware of survival and getting out of that situation or whatever. It must have been interesting to have sat with him and watched that footage as a witness to his own incredible adventure or story or survival or harrowing kind of.
Yeah, I think that part in particular was amazing for me, because we'd all have a surge of adrenaline at that point, but he knows exactly how to use it to his advantage. I mean, that control is amazing.
I'm by no means taking away anything from them and how much they did and how much it took for them to do what they did. But I haven't heard much from Lloyd, who was his partner in the passenger seat, who I said
He's
it
still
when I first.
shell-shocked.
That's the thing. I said it when I first saw that video. That man looked so scared. His eyeballs were about to pop out of his head, and he took like the majority of the video before he actually rustled the phone together and called someone. I didn't even think he could even call anyone.
Yeah, I'd like to interview him.
He says, Leah Prinsloo says here, my crew member had experience in armed response, but this was the first time that he'd been fired upon. He says, the first time that I was shot at, I assure you, I was wide-eyed, and I'm grateful there wasn't a camera pointed at me during it. He did everything that I asked him to do and kept his head. I tried to have him phone our colleagues, but the criminals were using a signal scrambler.
Wow.
How's that for inside info?
That's a thing?
Love it.
Signal scrambler.
I mean, those guys are pro, man. The criminals.
That's scary.
Yeah. There's apparently a coffee mug that you can buy with the words "Kom jou kont," which are the words that Leah actually used during the chase. I think that's awesome. I'd like to have one of those. All right, let's turn our attention to Sean Williams. Sean is the founder of Live Life Always. Sorry, not a complete idiot. How's it, Sean? We're going to find out from Sean what eco bricks are. And you've heard of them. It's like a plastic bottle. It's packed with used plastic to set density, so you could use it to actually build a structure. And they can be used to produce various things: furniture, gardens, garden walls, the walls of an actual building. And Sean is the clever man who decided that this was the way to make our planet healthier, safer, and obviously clean up some of the mess that we humans leave everywhere we go. So first of all, congratulations on this idea. I mean, I've seen videos of you on social media doing this stuff. I've seen TV interviews where you've spoken about it. Is this a totally original idea, or is it something that you've adapted from things that you've seen all over the world?
So can you hear me, hey?
Loud and clear, yeah.
Oh, lovely. Sorry about the pink earphones, my daughter's ones, only ones I could find to plug into my ears. So
right, we're very accepting on this show. We don't judge.
So thank you, firstly, Gareth, for having me on your show. It's a tremendous honor to be finally meeting you, who's a person that's so well known. So yes, eco bricks is something that was invented, I think, in Austria or one of the European countries by a lady, which was, like you said, the idea was to try and put single-use plastics into a bottle and use it eventually to build homes. That was the main idea.
Right.
Obviously, it took by storm, quite big in South Africa. It's still going quite well. The main thing is, for me, yes, it's taking single-use plastics out of landfills, but it's also a great educational tool because the kids are doing it at schools. And I don't know if you've ever built an eco brick. It's an extremely tough process because it's got to get to almost a kilogram in weight. So it's a tremendous amount of elbow grease that you've got to put into it. And through that process, people are getting to see how much plastic is actually getting
That's a good point. I mean, you don't just get to put 3 chocolate wrappers in and then it's an eco brick. You have to fill it with a whole bunch of crap. And really, I mean, who doesn't have a whole lot of crap lying around? If you think about how much we throw out every day, it's a disgrace that we have landfills all over the world, especially in South Africa. There's one as you drive past Marlborough Drive in Johannesburg, which is just such a disgusting eyesore. And, you always got these birds flying around it, trying to pick up whatever they can that's rotten and filthy. But the plastic is the problem, right? Because that's not something which decays. It's not something which you could do anything about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The problem with eco bricks is you are taking a highly recyclable product, which is the 2-liter bottle that you're putting the plastics into, out of being recycled. Yes, a lot of, if people knew exactly what to put in an eco brick, as in the real single-use plastics, then yes, then the model works tremendously. But at the moment, people are just shoving anything in there. Some people are putting, paper in there. So the idea is fantastic, and the people are obviously trying. But the eco brick is, as someone said to me, it's like a parked car. You have to eventually move it out of the environment. And now it's completely contaminated, even the bottle. So we have to, as a race, human race, we have to really start thinking about how to recycle before we start doing eco bricks, not buying those single-use plastics. Getting on board with recycling companies that will come and collect your plastics from your house. Try and get your nannies and your gardeners and whoever else comes to your house and helps you to bring their plastics to your house. So at least it can be recycled through our channels at homes, through these recycling firms or our complexes.
I just want to boast for you that Live Life Always, you guys have already collected 27,835 bags of litter. That's about 181 tons of waste, and it's probably way more than that by now, right? This is
Yes.
Old news.
We have collected to date 53,155 bags. The weight of that,
more than double what I just said.
Yeah, it's the weight of a fully loaded A380 Airbus airplane.
Amazing. And you guys clean out, among other things, like the Yekske River. I mean, I've got a river that goes past me here, and there's this incredible crew of people who've been cleaning up the river over the last couple of months, and they do an amazing job. They pull all kinds of crap out of the river, and it looks pristine and magnificent at the moment. I wish we could keep it that way. But there's litter all over this country, and it's one of the things that drives me crazy. Is this what got you motivated to actually start this? I mean, when I look at those numbers, 57,000. How many thousand?
53,155. So my main goal was to just clean up the planet. And then as I got closer to my 50th birthday, which was last Saturday, I decided to really make an effort on trying to reach 50,000 bags by my 50th birthday and build 50 dustbins. So, I had to employ a bigger crew for a few weeks from Diepsloot. So we went up to 20 staff. And the idea, was to have this personal goal, and which was amazing. And I reached it. And what's also nice is the dustbins that I'm building are working. They are working. I'm trying to put them in high traffic areas, taxi areas, because we don't have enough dustbins. The municipality hasn't provided enough dustbins.
Right.
And I'm just, my whole thing is education. So if you look at the model, I educate because I do a tremendous amount of talks at schools. trying to educate people to do exactly what we're chatting about now. And number two is employment. I mean, absolute unemployment is in the 87%.
Yeah, and those people would rather be doing something to improve the environment and earning some money than they would sitting around. There's nothing more frustrating than having no purpose in your life. But I want to talk about you for a minute, because you're a really interesting guy. I mean, you've seen polar bears in Canada, you've seen gorillas in Uganda, you've been to the Galapagos Islands. I mean, these are places that most of us only dream of going to.
Yeah, I started the Sean Williams Living Creatures Trust in 2008, which was a public benefit organization. Well, it still is. And the whole focus there initially was to try and protect our own African species, which are our heritage: the rhino, the lions, the elephants, the pangolins, which are, they between two continents. And that was to bring awareness. But so in those days, where sort of now I'm sitting on the other side of what I was doing. So in those days, I used to donate money into my trust, which was then funding small projects around South Africa, people that were really struggling. I wasn't doing these big ones like this Nelson Mandela Trust or these big rhino trusts. I was focusing on the small people that really needed money. So when I was doing well financially, I was putting 30, 40 grand into these different organizations, trying to help them, fund their projects. But, now I sit here where I'm on the different side of the table, where I don't have the money anymore. So I've had to sort of get my hands dirty. So instead of throwing money and saying, okay, Sean, off you go, carry on doing your project, I'm now physically getting involved in cleaning up and getting this initiative to grow awareness. I've traveled the world just to try and see if I can help. I think the changing point was when I went and did turtle conservation in the Maldives for 1 month, because I was struggling. I was drinking too much. I started sort of dabbling into drugs, and I sort of sat down and thought, what must I do to pull myself right? I had a young family. I was newly married, and I decided to go and do something I loved. And in the Maldives for 1 month, I got to see turtles coming in and all sorts of sea life coming into the center, where we had to amputate fins. I really got to see the severity of plastic pollution in the ocean, and that's where I made my personal goal to stop being the talker and being the doer. And that was a life-changing moment for me. I think that was the biggest life-changing moment. I've done a few of those. I went to Costa Rica and I did another volunteer project. And then I was supposed to go off now to Zanzibar and do another one, but then COVID hit in 2020. So my whole goal is to try and just help wherever I can.
I mean, this is just so great, because there's nothing that, for me anyway, there's no feeling that's better than finding a place, making it better, cleaning it up, and leaving it in a condition that makes you proud and also contributes to making the world a little bit better, rather than the opposite, which humans seem to do everywhere we go. We mess up everything we touch that is to do with the ecosystem. So I think it's just amazing. What kind of involvement can the rest of us take in this? I mean, Eleutheria says here, she wants to know where she can take her eco bricks in Joburg if she's got some to get rid of. I mean, is there anybody who you can refer her to? Are there projects that you're currently involved with that the rest of us might want to get involved with?
Thanks. So Gareth, because of all the talks at the schools before COVID and even now, I've become this person that people turn to drop off eco bricks, and I had 1,000 eco bricks in my garage, and because we have to move, I thought, what am I going to do with 1,000 eco bricks? So I got hold of the DA councillor, David Foley, and I said, listen, can I please build another eco brick bench in one of your new parks, which was in Beverly in Lone Hill? And he was fine. So I was lucky to use up those 1,000 eco bricks and build this beautiful bench with a table and a whole message on it about saving wildlife. But to be honest, I think there are many drop-off points. Santon City is the one that I know really well, where you actually can deposit an eco brick, and I think if they might pay you or something, but there's definitely a deposits machine in Santon City. There's someone was telling me now, before I got on your show, I had another Zoom call, that there's some person in Benoni that's needing eco bricks. So look, I can reach out and try and help you find people that are willing to take on eco bricks, because I mean, I've got this little turtle eco brick collector in Lone Hill Park here that I built out of wire mesh, and I mean, that thing every month is full. So I'm also sitting in a similar situation where I'm thinking, what am I going to do with these eco bricks? But I hopefully will get involved in building more benches and parks. It's just City Parks is on board. It's just trying to get the community to help fund the projects. I mean, building these benches is just with material and time and labor. It's like 7,000-8,000 rand. So, it's not cheap. It's not. If I had endless amount of money, I'd be building houses with eco bricks. I'd be building all sorts of things. Yeah.
Okay, so in short, you don't know, but there are some very, very good projects that you could probably go and find.
Yes,
know what? Do your own research, or else start a project where you guys can use these things, and maybe you can build something in your own neighborhood.
Exactly. I mean, you can build a bench. It doesn't have to be a fancy bench. You could just build something that people could sit on. You can build a dustbin out of eco. There's so many things you can do that don't cost a lot of money and aren't that intricate in building it. So, yeah, and I'll gladly help. If someone says to me, Sean, I've got permission from this park that you can come build your eco brick bench, I'll gladly come and do it. I'd gladly love to get out there and bring awareness to that certain area.
When you do things like clearing up a river, is that a complicated thing to do, or is it just getting in and getting stuck in and doing the dirty stuff? Because I would, in my worst moments, I picture like municipalities getting in the way and, politicians starting to moan about things. Or can you just do it?
You can do it. In a day, it's about passion of just getting out there and doing something positive. So I organize river cleanups. I build these dustbins, and most of the dustbins, I probably shouldn't be saying on there, are illegal in the sense of we've tried to get Pick It Up and City of Joburg to give me permission to build these dustbins in the taxi areas. And we sort of just gone ahead and done it. And the funniest thing is they actually, Pick It Up is actually really happy we put these dustbins there. So, anyone can get involved. I mean, the river cleanups are hard because the plastic is literally entangled inside the trees and inside roots. The water is toxic, so people don't really feel like going near the water. So it's and it is an eye opener. It's extremely eye opener because now in winter you'll get to really smell that. You really get to see that these Yukske River, where I do the cleanup, now the smell starts coming back because in the summer the water's flowing so much that you don't really have the smells. So who are these
people who are shitting in our rivers? Really, we got to find out and have them immediately put enormous corks in their assholes or something. It's just, I mean, what kind of people are shitting in rivers? Seriously.
That's the funniest thing I've ever heard on air, I must be honest. You're right. It's a cultural thing. It's not even a cultural thing.
No. There's no culture in the world that says you should be pooing in rivers. That's outrageous. I don't believe it. And if your culture says you should be pooing in rivers, it's time for you to get a new culture.
That's so true. But we have to it's education. We have to start somewhere. We can't just give up. I mean, it's so easy to give up.
We should sew people's assholes closed if they poo in rivers. That's what we should do. Be sent to the hospital, and there should be a doctor who sews their assholes closed. There's no reason for people to do that ever, right? I mean, Leigh-Ann's laughing, but it's true, Leigh-Ann. That's the best way to sort it.
Leigh-Ann, well, funny.
Gosh, thank goodness you aren't a mayor.
If I were the mayor, I'd have the cleanest municipality of all, because if we caught someone squatting at the side of the river, they'd be taken on a gurney to the hospital, have their asshole shut with glue and stitches, and they would never do it again. Let me tell you, the rest of the community would find out about that, and they'd also be shit scared, if you'd pardon the pun. So listen, Sean, this is really good work. I'm blown away by the fact that there are great people in the world who are doing things like this. I've been involved in a couple of these cleanups just because in my own environment, I think if you can't, start with what is right around you. I mean, we can't all be expected to save the planet. There are people like you who are collecting 53,000 bags of rubbish, but most of us don't have the time. Most of us aren't as passionate as you are, and that's okay. But you can start cleaning up immediately around you. You can clean up in the street that you live. You can clean up in your own garden. You can pick up some stuff. These guys who ride these little trolleys that they collect all that. I mean, that recycling is something we can all do. So let's start with the little things. It's easy enough, right?
Absolutely. Also, Gareth, when you say we can't change the planet. I do believe that if together, each and every one of us, if we just do our bit, doesn't necessarily mean river cleanups or help pick up stuff lit off the street. It's just each and every one of us need to make a mental shift in understanding that we cannot continue to pulverize. What? Was it? It's a bit early in the morning for me. We can't pillage this planet. We as a human race are the only species on this planet has a choice, and we've got to start choosing wisely. We see all these conspiracy movies and all these theories and all these documentaries about how the planet's being destroyed, and a lot of people say, no, well, this is just normal. It's rubbish. We are destroying this planet. Gareth, when you were young, the Yukske River was probably, you could swim in that. And there wasn't guys, like you said, shitting on the side of the river. So, now you can't even go in there.
No, if you fell into the Yukske or the Henops River, which, you'd have to go straight to hospital, and you'd be lucky if you made it. Forget COVID. Those rivers are more dangerous than COVID, and I don't see anybody wearing masks and hand sanitizing and helping to try and clean up those rivers. So let's do that. Let's start off with the stuff that's already there before we start worrying about things that are still being made in Chinese laboratories.
I think if you fell into a Yukske River, it would be a tremendous weight loss initiative.
You would have such problems. Like, I don't think your digestive tract would ever recover. and maybe that's what the rivers are trying to tell us. Is like, if you poo enough, we'll make you poo for the rest of your life. Thank you so much. Congrats with everything that you're doing, and there are always ways to get involved and support. But Live Life Always is Sean Williams's foundation, and they're doing terrific stuff. So congratulations, and we're all right behind you. So thanks very much, Sean.
Thank you for having me. And it's my one last thing is, please, each and everyone, just wake up each day and just make one small change, because, like you said, Gareth, if we just cleaned our own neighborhood, well, Mahatma Gandhi said, if you clean your own stoop, the planet will be clean. So let's just each and every one of us make a difference today. We have to do today.
Yes, there we go. Sia, how does Earth Song go?
Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me. Oh my gosh, Sean, I can be your singer for free. Wait, no, actually, why are there two songs? No, that's Heal the World. Then Michael Jackson also had Earth Song. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh, Gareth, why did you switch him on?
Stop, or I'll remove you.
What about everything? Okay, I'm quiet.
All right, stop, please.
Oh, that reminds me. Do you remember that music video, though?
Oh my God!
Calm down. I was about to tell you, I saw a documentary about Michael Jackson. I think it was on the History Channel over the weekend, and they went through his whole career and all the different album releases and how he changed over the years, and then all those court cases that he was involved in, and eventually his death. And it was cool to see, like, the story of Michael Jackson. I'd forgotten so many things. I mean, I always forget that he was married to Lisa Marie Presley, which was so weird.
Gareth, I watched True Hollywood Story on DSTV. If you look, that's back, and the first episode is Cardi B. And I thought of you while I watched that. But yeah, she's really interesting, and just straight from her roots and how much she's achieved.
She's basically, Cardi B is like a human eco brick. She's just filled with plastic and rubbish, and yet she maintains her integrity, and she's got the density of about 1 kilogram. But that's her. That's what she is,
No, this will make you change your mind.
Cardi B, former stripper, multi-record selling rapper who interviewed the sitting president of the United States.
That's right. He went and sat down for an interview with Cardi B. By the way, Bitcoin people are very unhappy this week, including me. Bitcoin currently at $39,119. I remember it hit a high of like 60,000. So it's it's really come down quite a lot. But you know what? They always say, hold. You got to hold on. It'll come back. That's what I'm That's what I'm doing anyway. I mean, I'm in too deep, right? I'm not going to pull out now. Be ridiculous. Sunken cost is what they call it. All right, that's all we got time for this morning. The new schedule is Leigh-Ann Mole on a Wednesday and a Monday.
So please, guys, tell Gord to handle George Minnie with the respect that I've handled him with,
of course,
and not to tell him corny jokes.
Yeah, no, or really dumb ideas about how wheels should work. I mean, the wheel. It's one of humanity's oldest inventions, and Leigh-Ann is like, I've got an idea about the wheel. Now we all have to take it seriously.
They literally say, don't reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
Yeah, literally.
All right, so it's been lots of fun. We will catch up with Leigh-Ann Mole next Monday again, and we've got Gord on Friday. Tomorrow is the Burning Platform, and tonight you need to set an alarm on your phone so that you can watch our show live on ENCA. That's channel 403 on DSTV, and we will have. Do you remember the dude from last week's Burning Platform, Ibrahim Harvey? He's going to be on, and he's going to be arguing with Phumlani Majozi, and the two of them have plenty of reasons to argue with each other. The one is an old trade unionist of the 90s. The other one is a young capitalist of the 2020s. And the two of them, between them, are going to have lots to argue about. So I'm looking forward to that tonight. Plus, we'll speak to a guy called Ali Rizvi, who is an atheist Muslim. Try and work that one out. We'll speak to him about how he feels about Islam, how he feels about atheism, and how he feels about all the other things that are going around with regard to those two subjects, which are of great
After
interest.
growing up in Pakistan and Saudi
and
Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. I mean, you do not get more interesting a background than this guy has had when it comes to his experience with Islam and with free thinking. And there's so much to talk about. So Ali Rizvi and those two guests this evening on So What Now, Channel 403. We'll see you tonight. Yeah, we'll see you tonight live. It's all happening. Have an excellent day. Thank you. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Bye, everybody.